Hello and welcome to another edition of Meet the Manager, where we chat to a fantasy Premier League manager with a more than enviable track record of success. Today I'm joined by Sean Tobin, who is currently number one in our live Hall of Fame. He is also currently 18th in FPL and 14th in the Sky Game. Sean, welcome. How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Yeah, it's great. It's great for you to be here. Now, those figures I've just read out there. I've read them out casually,
Yeah.
but I'm actually full of massive excitement about all of those because to be number one in our Hall of Fame is, as far as we know, to our knowledge, the best manager of all time. So that's quite an accolade. But obviously, there may be some out there who haven't joined our leagues who may have
No,
it
of
better.
course.
But it's pretty good. To be 18th in FPL as well, so you're actually potentially in with a shot of winning it. And 14th in the Sky Game as well. So potentially in a shot of winning that as well. So before we look a bit about your career history and we go through that, we've got the picture up on the screen. I just wanted to find out from you what it feels like to be so high up, not only in FPL but also Sky, because you could win both.
A bit surreal, really, because in all my other seasons, I've never been anything like this. I mean, I was pretty good in Sky last year. I was up to about 20 to 30, I think I finished. I was in the team at one point, but I've never done anything like this in FPL. I had a couple of good seasons in Ultimate when it was going, in the top 10 of that. But
Oh, right.
that was one of my favourite games, while it lasted.
Yes, it was good, wasn't it? And it was quite good for the kind of seasoned managers who
Yeah.
know their way around some stats and things as well. Well, let's have a look at your FPL career history there. I mean, since you started in 2010-11, you really only had one bad season. But the rest of the time, you've accumulated 5 top 5,000 finishes, including one in the top 1,000. And of course, you've got your amazing rank this year. And over those... over those top finishes and as well this season, what do you think have been the key strategies for success?
Well, the first few seasons, the first season, I really come in with nothing. I didn't really know how to play the game or anything. And it wasn't until the second season I actually found Fantasy Football Scout.
Oh.
And then in the third season, I think I become a member and started using your tools and digging around and finding other little sites, who scored and stock away, and really got bitten by the bug, I suppose, then. And,
So what was it? Yeah, what was it about? Because you obviously discovered things like Fantasy Football Scout, and you've got access to all the stats and things. So, what specific things happened where it just clicked for you?
I don't know. I was interested in it. I mean, I had that poor fourth season. I don't really know what happened there. I know it was a season when kept getting punished by Ramsey and Toure, and
it was that season.
And Suarez and Sturridge, and I think I wasn't doing very well. And also, I'll catch up in a minute. I'll be all right. And probably took too many hits, trying to be a bit alternative with my captain choices and things like that, and it all went a bit wrong.
Was there a sense as well? Because this is coincidence you say that, because also Mark Southerns, who created Fantasy Football Scout, we also had on this series. He's also got great career history as well, but also did really bad that season. So and his reason as well was exactly that. What he didn't do was he didn't jump on those bandwagons like Toure and Ramsey. He just thought their scoring would end. Was that what happened with you? You just...
I did, and you think of Then I was thinking, I'll try an alternative route to catch up rather than getting them, and get the points other people haven't gotten. It just never really happened, and it just ended up a rubbish season.
Okay, so let's have in terms of kind of strategies as well. A lot of some managers have a patient approach. They look to avoid hits. They look to fixtures. Some look at form. Some look at stats, and in particular stats. So what for you are the kind of key things that you look at when you're making your decisions?
Eye test is a big one. I do watch a lot of football, and that's a big one for me. It shows you things that stats can't. Who's getting in the box and who's putting in the crosses, even if they don't lead to anything. And I have my tools. I always get one of Ben Crallin's season tickers spreadsheets. I think that's very well laid out. Very easy to see the run. The run players have got. Use fancy football scout member area. Read them in the articles. Stats table comparison tools. Rate my team tool. That's a great one for identifying weak spots in your team.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to say with the stats as well. So for example, some of this I've changed over the years what stats I follow. I used to be really keen on shots in the box, for example, and now I'm more keen on shots on target. And I used to be keen on penalty area touches. I'm less keen on them now, and big chances is something I've started to look at a bit more. So what for you over the years? What are the kind of key stats you really look at when you see a player and you think, oh wow, they're really good in that particular area? What are those stats?
Penalty area touches, chances, big chances created, and just said the eye test, actually just being around, and involved, up and around the sort of goal area.
So you're checking with your own eyes, checking whether a shot is actually of a quality or whether someone's just aiming.
Even if they make a mess of it, it's the fact that they're there to get that shot in, and that's sort of, and the team is creating the chances.
Sometimes I think the mark of a good manager with a good career is how they react when things go wrong as well. So you mentioned that season where you got 120,000, and you identified one of the reasons where it went wrong in that you didn't get on those bandwagons as well. So the following season you ended up in the top 1,000. So what else did you take from that season? What did you learn from, and why did it go so fabulously well the next year?
Well, I must admit, one of the main reasons, I think that was the 2014-15 season.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of that season, Nick Cummins started up the Facebook group Transfer Hub.
Okay.
But I was pretty quick to get in on that. I was one of the first members there, and so since there, that's grown into a nice little community, and sort of, I'm on there and post on there a fair bit, and that's helped my game as well, and helped me enjoyment of the games. I've got an awful lot of good friends, from that group.
So that's it's chatting with the group there. So I mean that's something that's grown in recent years, really. So I mean I've been playing 2 or 3 years before you, and there was Fantasy Football Scout, but now there's all sorts of people have got their own kind of Slack channels with various close friends they've built up over the years. And has that helped as well, having kind of running ideas past kind of like-minded people? Yeah,
I've got a couple of close friends who usually sort of chat on personal message about our transfer plans and what we're going to do with the teams and football in general. Another group, Unfiltered FPL. Okay. Friend of mine, Mark Johnson, started up. I'm a member of that as well.
Okay.
And just with all of us coming together, like it's, there's some very good players in there. We just, share plans and what have you.
I mean, I was gonna, before we look at things like formation and hits and things, I wanted to ask you, about why you've done so well so consistently, and that I think that goes beyond. I like this player. This player looks good. It goes beyond player selection and becomes a bit more like strategy, almost like chess in a way. So you're thinking in advance, and also that awareness that you're playing against other people and trying to second guess what they're doing. And how for you? What do you do in terms of that kind of strategy? What are the kind of key strategies that you deploy? This is aside from getting players in and out.
Well, I look at fixtures, runs of fixtures. I wouldn't get a player in if let's say he had 4 to 6 half decent games, and how he fits in my team as well. Like especially that, I suppose that goes with defenders. How if you bring a defender in, how it's going to fit in with the ones you already got there, and plug in those gaps, which you can identify as I said on the Rate My Team tool. If you put that up, over the few weeks you can see a weak area and which one's not going to be very good, and try and get someone in to fill that gap, sort of thing.
So you're always thinking in advance as well.
Yeah,
Thinking in
yeah,
advance helps to keep hits down as well. So I've noticed
yeah.
this season you've only
I don't really
taken
like to take hits, so I can help it.
exactly. So you've only taken 3 this season.
Mm.
You said you took loads in 2013, 14.
Yeah.
That's another theme that's emerged when people kind of go against what they're used to. Things start to fall apart. So is that normal for you? You know, a really low amount of hits each season.
It depends. I don't like taking hits, obviously, but sometimes you end up, you sort of get into a run of bad luck. You seem to be always putting out fires. You know, you bring somebody in, and they get injured and that sort of thing, or you know, they fall out of favour in the team. But I've been lucky this year. I haven't really had anything of that to deal with. Actually, the transfers I've used are the ones of ones I wanted to make rather than ones I've had to make. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I do, and I think that the planning obviously is key to that. In terms of formation, now this is interesting. This season, a lot. I think it's been quite typified by a kind of flexible formation. Lots of sometimes having 4 at the back, 5 at the back, 2 up front, and etc. etc. But what I noticed with you, you're a little different. You've used 3-4-3 at the most times, 14 times. So it's pretty much dominated your thinking, the 3-4-3. And in fact, you haven't fielded 5 midfielders once at all this season, which is also unusual because midfielders, a lot of talk about how do we squeeze so many good midfielders in. So is that just the way it's gone this season for you, or
just the way I play, really?
Is that what you're used to, 3-4-3?
Yeah, I don't think in all my years, I don't think I've ever really set up with a 5-man midfield.
Really?
All my teams have always been, if anything, top heavy. You know, with probably them 2 big forwards, and I've always had that, you know, throwaway 5th mid and a throwaway 5th defender. I mean, we're very lucky this year with Wan-Bissaka, who's actually, you know, a reasonable playing choice as a 5th midfielder.
I mean,
Something not being able to go to, you know, 4-4-2 or 4-3-3.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people. I've been talking on Twitter to people about this, about formation. A lot of people are saying this is the season of the 5-man midfield, and I didn't think it was. I thought because there hasn't been a 4.5 striker that you can field, but there have been plenty of 4.5 midfielders, it just didn't seem to lend itself to that. And as you said, there's so many striking options this season, and so many good cheap defenders as well. For me as well, I've fielded 3-4-3 most times this season, and I like it, but it's also something I feel comfortable with as well. And is that also something for you as well? It's you know, you've had success with 3-4-3, so it just feels right anyway, even if it.
Yeah, I suppose I subconsciously set my team up like that, you know, every year. I mean, I had a bit of a choice to make earlier on, you know, just before Christmas when I brought Aubameyang in. I wanted to go with Aubameyang and Kane. I sort of identified that was the way I wanted to go, which really, having Salah as well, I mean, been scoring without a City mid, and that's so far it's worked out all right. It worked out all right over Christmas, that one.
Yeah.
I even captained Aubameyang a couple of times, varying amounts of success.
Was that by because with that going without a City mid, one of the key factors in that being a success was Fernandinho wasn't playing, and so that did disrupt the. Was that something you'd identified? Or was it just by chance that you just didn't have any City?
I think I got a bit lucky over Christmas with the City mids sort of not performing, and sort of the big 3 I had almost did perform on most of the occasions.
Turning to captaincy, this season Salah and Aguero have dominated your captain choices. How in general do you decide on who to captain each week?
It's usually my own decision, but very often agree with, I do look at the polls, and very often it is the guy at the top of the poll anyway. But I mean, a couple of times I've strayed away from Salah this year. It hasn't gone very well anyway. So no. I think he's a nice comfort blanket to have. Especially if I don't think it's worth, if it's a 50-50 shot, I don't think it's worth taking the gamble and going against the poll.
Have you always been like that? So, for example, in previous seasons, we've had, stretching back, I don't know if Ronaldo quite within your time there, but Robin van Persie, for example. We've had the likes of Frank Lampard as well. Have you always gone for that? I guess the most not taking too many risks with the captaincy, I think is what I'm trying to say.
On the sometimes I check the bookies odds as well. Who's most likely to score? Who's got the easiest fixture? But it's generally just ties in with who's on top of the poll anyway. Really.
I want to talk about Sky now. So last season, obviously did really well within the top 50 there. Mm-hmm. In with a chance of winning it. I don't want to pile the pressure on you here, but you're in with a chance of winning it. Now we've had a few managers, one or two managers actually in this series that also do very well in the Sky game, and they had a bit to say about how it's playing the two games and how each of them kind of influence each other as well. So what for you, what do you enjoy about the Sky game that perhaps FPL doesn't offer you? But also, in what ways has playing Sky either helped or hindered playing Fantasy Premier League?
I don't think it hinders playing Fantasy Premier League at all. I think playing both games probably helps you in both games.
Mm-hmm. In what way?
I think you have a good knowledge of the players. So sometimes, I've been quite lucky in Sky this year. I started off with a good team. I've had Alisson in goal, Laporte and Louise at the back. I've had them all season, and it's just haven't had to use many transfers really because my team's been set up so well.
With those, taking Laporte for example, he's so good in Sky because of his underlying stats. He's got a bit of everything: the passing, the tackling, and just general. He's great for getting bonus as well. So if they keep a clean sheet, he's looking on for 10 or 12 points in that game as well. So as that kind of as being, looking at the stats area of Fantasy Football Scout, for example, has that helped play Sky as well? Because you started to look at, those different attributes. Because Laporte's wonderful in Sky, but less so in FPL.
Yeah, he never interested me in FPL. When I think we had to get a Mendy replacement, he didn't really. I wasn't really interested in him in the FPL game because I don't think he's ever going to get much more than about 6 points. Because. The mids and everything seem to dominate the sort of your bonus points. He's never up there with, even though he does very well in Sky bonuses, he doesn't really sort of come into it much in the way the FPL bonus system works. I think I got Digne in when I needed my Mendy replacement.
Did you? That's a good example of. I think that's a good example of a good stats-based move. Myself and a few others as well got Digne in because when looking at defenders, he was just top for everything in terms of shots. Did that help you?
And on the eye test as well, you could see he was getting forward. He was like, he does doing down the left what he does down the right, really, wasn't he? And when he got that free kick that day, that was a bit of a bonus. Nobody really expected him to take that in the last minute, but. I was very lucky with Doherty and Digne, and I sort of got in on them right at the right time.
You keep saying lucky, but I think managers like you make your own luck. You can't get a career history like yours being lucky. But obviously being very modest here, saying that it's luck. You got lucky with that initial team as well. But is there anything else you can kind of let us know really about how you select players? Because from 2010 onwards, apart from one season, that's got to be a skill rather than luck.
I don't know really. I don't rush into anything. I know that. Occasionally I might bring in someone during the week if when I haven't got Champions League or something like that. I might if the player's rising and. But normally I do wait till the Friday night or a Saturday morning, get as much information possible, especially from the pressers, and and even sort of if the pressers aren't very clear, I might even look around on Twitter and even up to know on the deadline on the Saturday morning.
I guess that is a case of making your own luck there because you're narrowing the odds of something bad happening as each day goes by. The odds get much better that the player you get in won't be injured or dropped or something dramatic happening behind the scenes like with Arnautovic, for example. Suddenly he's
Yeah.
potentially off to China, comes out of absolutely nowhere. And catches people off guard as well. Yeah, I just want to look in a bit of detail about this season. We've got your current team up. This is the game week 23 side. Now you had a great game week 1. Once again, you'd probably tell me that's luck, but clearly I think that's some skill there. You got 90.
Look back on that team, it doesn't look very pretty.
Well, no, you got 95 points there as well, and then you've steadily risen up into the top 1,000 by about game week 9, and then since game week 18, you've pretty much been in the top 100. What I wanted to ask you really is what you think have been the defining moves that you've made this season. You mentioned Luca Dean, but what other have been your defining moves?
Well, defining game week, I think it was game week 8. When everybody went for Kane at Cardiff, and I didn't.
So sometimes the defining moves is what you don't do. And what you didn't do was what made you not get Kane in? Because I'm guilty. Put my hand up. I'm guilty of getting Kane in. I thought it'd be a great match. Why did you not make that move?
If you want to know the real truth, I was 0.1 off doing it.
Okay. Okay, maybe that is luck.
I didn't think it was going to be worth a hit. Put it that way, because I thought, he had bad games after that. I thought there'd probably be a hit in, hit out, and there's no way I was going to do that. So I brought Doherty in that week instead. That's why I used my transfer on. Captain Hazard, and was really prepared for a weekend beyond the sofa. I really thought, I was not going to have a good game week, and it just totally turned out the opposite way around.
Yeah, you got 93 points that week, 12,000.
Really done well.
You moved up from 12,000 to 1,600. So that is obviously it's a great move. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna let's pretend that you had enough money to get Kane in, and you because you said you were still reticent as well, because essentially it was really just for one game week, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So was that key? And what other defining moves have there been this season?
Well, I got in early on Rashford.
Okay.
I made a mistake. I got Martial instead of Pogba, but I put that one right straight away. I think sometimes if you do make a mistake, you gotta realise you make a mistake and put it right straight away. And then I got Pogba and Luiz in for Alonso and Martial. And that proved to be a good hit a few weeks ago. I mean, not a hit. I mean, a good move a few weeks ago.
Yeah, no, that's a good. I mean, both of those are good examples of a mistake, really. I've still got Alonso, God knows why, and it's been a mistake every week to keep him, because it's obvious that David Luiz is a better option. It's obvious that a whole bunch of other defenders are a better option as well. So yeah, what else has happened this season to get such a high rank?
Well, I don't know. So I think going with Aubameyang, Salah and Kane rather than the City mids and Hazard. That's worked out fine so far. But how long I'll keep up, I don't know. And of course I brought Firmino in. I'm hoping Firmino. He was my Kane replacement. I'm hoping that'll do well for me as well.
Do you know what?
I done a similar move last year.
That's great to hear, because I've got Firmino in as well.
Yeah, I've seen that.
But one of the reasons I got him in is because I think that he's a bit unfashionable now with Salah, and it's kind of playing the game. I just think a lot of people will avoid doubling up. Doubling up on attack is something we mentioned on the Scoutcast this week. You've got Pogba and Rashford, you've got Firmino and Salah. Is that a good tactic for you over the seasons to do that, or just by chance?
It's like last year. The season really took off just before the Christmas when I actually tripled up on Liverpool. I had Salah anyway. They brought in Firmino and Coutinho, and had a great few weeks, obviously, until Coutinho went. But then I kept Firmino, I think, right up until the wild card sort of weeks, and he done well for me. So I do like having the player.
It strikes me that you're the type of manager as well that is not too swayed by. I say bandwagons, but if you are going to move on a bandwagon, you're going to make sure that it's a good one, and so kind of slightly going against the crowd. Now you've got looking at your teams where you've got Delafeu in there as well.
He's been a bit of a disappointment, really.
Yeah.
I mean, he's come close to scoring the last 2 weeks, but it hasn't really happened for him, and he might be the one that goes this week. I'm not sure. I haven't really made my mind up yet, but he's certainly next on the chopping block.
Yeah, I mean that brings me to kind of players you want to get rid of. So De La Feo, obviously, there's a slot there. Do you play that kind of system with price points where you like to have a couple of expensive ones? You look to be able to kind of be flexible so you can move positions. And so, for example, with De La Feo, are you looking for a similar priced
Yeah, I
midfielder?
mean, the man I'm looking at to replace De La Feo would be Jota.
Okay.
I watched him in the Leicester game, and he really looks the part now. So that is a possible move I might do this week. With the Wolves fixtures.
Yeah, I was going to say with Jota, some people are not so keen, but you've obviously looked at that. You've looked at the stats, and he's had some good games recently as well. Apart from that one, as well. Are there any other players that you think might go on the chopping block?
Well, Richarlison's got to go at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm probably going to give him Huddersfield. Originally, my plan for this week, because doing Kane to Firmino, I've got a few, quite a bit of money spare. I was going to bring in Dele Alli for him, but of course that's out the window now, and I think I want another look at Tottenham. We're going to bring any of their assets in at the moment, so he might have had a little stay of execution, Richarlison, for a minute. I certainly probably give him the Huddersfield game, and maybe a couple after that, because I could quite just about bring Sane in for him. If I'd done that, then I'm a bit stuck with De La Feo, but with Sane having that blank, unless a double game week appears, it's probably not the right time to do that.
Yeah, good you mentioned double games. So we know that there's a number of teams, including City and also Chelsea, that are going to miss game week 27. But there could be a game week 25 before that. I mean, we're getting quite close now, so that might be a bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, they're going to have a double game week at some point. How much do the double game weeks and the blanks influence your decisions?
Well, I mean, you've got to plan for them. This is why I'm old enough to be transferred last possible moment this week. I mean, really could do without a double game week myself in 25 because I'm so short because I haven't got any City with me at the moment.
No.
But it'd be a bit of a nuisance to have to bring them in now. What with them blanking in 27 as well.
How have the chips as well? Because we've got free hit chips now, bench boost, triple captaincy as well. You've been playing pre-chips and during the chips as well. How have they influenced how you play? And are you looking to use them?
I'm not a big fan really.
Okay.
I think they bring a bit much luck into the game, and your whole season, you've really got to sort of play your whole season around getting everything right for those last 3 or 4 game weeks, isn't it? With the chips and the wild card and that.
Yeah.
I'd rather do without them myself.
Yeah, they obviously come in handy as well, but they do tend to be, the good managers tend to use them at very similar times as well.
Last minute rush, isn't it?
Yeah. So, I mean, looking else at your team as well, so obviously no City, that's fine for game week 27 because they haven't got a fixture, and their fixture a bit iffy at the moment. But also if there's a double, then suddenly it's like panic stations and you've got to work out how to get 1 or 2 of them in.
Yeah, I will, but trouble is with their squad, if they have a double and a European game as well, how do you know who's going to play?
Just before we go, just looking ahead a bit more at other players as well. Looking ahead really, what other players are on your radar at the moment? I don't know whether you keep a watch list, for example, and which players are on there.
Not definite watch list. I look at that fixture ticker really, and I have identified maybe bringing Felipe Anderson or Maddison back in at 27.
Oh, okay.
For if I keep Richarlison that long. Another one has come up last night is David Luiz. You see, because missing 27 now, and with a hard game either side, I don't know whether I'll be keeping him after the Huddersfield game.
Yes.
Thinking maybe bring Kolasinac in or Piero or somebody like that.
Okay. So once again, it's
A
fixtures.
bit of money if I need some City cover as well. That you see.
Yeah, fixtures obviously governing what you do there.
Mm.
Well, Sean, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. What I found particularly interesting is the importance of friendship in this as well. That
Yeah.
you've cultivated some good friends,
Yeah, I've got a
and
couple of hundreds of friends and a couple of very good friends.
because I think sometimes it gets forgotten that it's fun and it's meant to be
Yeah, it
fun and
is.
it's meant to be
I've,
something you.
I've made friends from all over the world.
Yeah, yes, you mentioned because
Thing about it.
you mentioned you have friends from Norway. Norwegians are
Oh,
particularly
I
good.
was going to I mentioned my friend Mikhail Topfin. He does a great algorithm table
Really?
on Transfer Hub, and that's very very helpful to me and all my mates on Transfer Hub and Unfiltered FPL.
Okay. Is he on Twitter and things like that as well?
I think he has got a Twitter. He does a Patreon thing to
Oh,
for
is
his
that he's that level?
tables.
He charges.
It's not very much. It's about I think it's €1.50 a
Oh,
month or
okay.
something like that. You know,
Okay.
and he does put a hell of a lot of time into doing these tables though.
Okay. Well, when we put this up, I will try and get a link
Yeah,
to him as well
yeah,
because he sounds like someone to follow there as well.
yeah. He's a very good player in his own right too.
Some other things I picked up just to kind of conclude really was just the correcting of mistakes quickly. You've been good at that as well, and obviously learning from mistakes as you did in that season where you were poor and you came flying back with your best ever season, maybe because I think this year could be your best ever as well. And the other thing is just being you're very modest, really, putting a lot of things down to luck and.
Well,
I'm just going to disagree. I think.
I do think you've got to have things going for you. You know, I mean, some of those seasons you spend half your transfers sort of putting out fires, and that hasn't happened this year.
No.
We're very lucky on that.
Okay. But Sean, it's been an absolute pleasure. Good luck with the upcoming game weeks in both Sky and FPL. Be rooting for you to win both of those. Excellent.
Okay.
Thanks for your time, Sean.
Thank you very much. Cheers.